Hey guys, welcome to Tabletop Warband's Battle Report channel. In this video we are playing Kill Team in a 100 points match that sees Adeptus Mechanicus versus Tyranids. I'm Simone and I'll play Mechanicus.
Hello there, I'm Andrea and I will play Tyranids. Before we started, we wanted to let you know that we just opened the channel, and it would help us a lot if you could subscribe. And don't forget to activate the bell so you don't miss the next battle reports. Thank you guys.
Today's mission is Terror Tactics, taken from the Core Rules book, the two armies we will have to deploy within these two areas. In this mission, during the movement phase, players can move their models off the battlefield edge directly opposite their own deployment zone. Each player earns 2 points for each model that has entirely left the battlefield and 1 point for each enemy model eliminated.
The game will last 4 turns, after which the player with the most points will roll a d6. On a 3+, the game will continue, otherwise the game ends. Same thing for the next round, but this time it will end with a 4+. The game ends automatically at the end of the 6th battle round. Both armies start with 0 command points, gaining 1 base point plus an additional 1 if the leader is alive each start of the turn.
Let's move on to the description of the armies. My Adeptus Mechanicus are part of a small expedition team whose task is protecting the ruined site of Kortov from Tyranid scouts awaiting reinforcements. The team consists of 5 Skitari Vanguard, including Vanguard Alpha, who is the leader, and is armed with an arc pistol and a power sword. Among them is the Zealot Specialist, who carries a Plasma Caliber, and a Scout Specialist, who, like the others, is armed with a Radium Carbine. Moving on, there are 5 Rangers, one of which is armed with an Arc Rifle, while the others have a Galvanic Rifle. Among them, there is a Comm Specialist.
Now, my Tyranid team that, after facing the Astra Militarum, is advancing on the planet in search of more organic matter to devour. The team consists of 3 Tyranid warriors, led by the leader gunner armed with Venom Cannon, Bone Swords, and Flash Hooks. The other 2 warriors are Comm Specialist and Combat Specialist, equipped with Death Spitter, Bone Swords, and Flash Hooks. Following, there are 8 Harmagans armed with Siding Talons, including a Scout Specialist. With a movement of 8 inches, their task will be to quickly reach the enemy lines and score as many victory points as possible by leaving the battlefield.
Before starting the game, there's the scouting phase. Each player secretly chooses one of these actions and then reveals the choice made at the same time. Yes, Andrea chose take forward positions, which allows him to make a maximum of 2 models move before the game starts, while I chose eliminate sentries, which allows me to shoot with a maximum of 2 models on the enemies that have moved with his choice.
Now we roll for who has the initiative to determine who will act first in the first round. 2d6, the higher result begins. Simone chooses where to deploy and goes first. I deployed the Tyranids on the edge of the deployment zone to try to reach the other side of the battlefield with the Harmagans as quickly as possible, keeping the warriors slightly behind to provide covering fire for the little ones. In the scouting phase, I chose to move the 2 models to have an additional free movement.
With the Adeptus Mechanicus, I try to deploy them using the covers of the terrain elements available. My volume of fire is definitely higher than Andrea's, and I will try to make the most of it by preventing him from reaching my edge of the battlefield. I chose eliminate sentries to try to mitigate its advance, which I knew he would attempt.
Before the game starts, I moved 2 models thanks to take forward positions. Considering Simone's choice in the scouting phase, I am forced to try to cover the models I move, hoping that they will stay alive at least until the movement phase.
Unfortunately, none of my Mechanicus have the Harmagan behind the building in sight, but the same cannot be said for the one position behind the crates. Maximum 2 models from my kill team can target him, and only one has him in line of sight. The Scout Vanguard is armed with Radium Carbine and makes 3 attacks at 5+, due to the long range and target cover. 2 hit, Strength 3, Toughness 3, wounding at 4+. 1 wound.
Saving with 6? Not even close.
Injury roll. 1 to 3 suffers a flesh wound and 4+ dies. Yes! A beautiful start. I got my first victory point, and the game isn't even started. Nice shot, OB3R1N. The Adeptus Mechanicus have the ability to choose at the start of each round which canicle of the Omnissiah will affect them until the end of the turn. For the first round, I chose Benediction of the Omnissiah, which allows me to repeat once to hit in the shooting phase. Having won the initiative, it is up to me to move first. Given the movement speed of the Tyranids and their superiority in close combat, I have no choice but to position myself in defense and try to slow their advance. If he wants to engage in close combat, he will lose time, which he could instead use to run off the battlefield. I moved the 2 vanguards to defend obstacles, which would guarantee them further protection in close combat. The plasma positions itself where it can have a view of the entire battlefield. as the scout moves on the flank hoping to advance the next turn. 2 rangers are positioned in cover while the rest get the ready, an action that will allow them to fire first in the shooting phase. Now, I just have to wait for Andrea's movement and hope for the best.
In this phase, I advance with all the Hormagaunts, rolling a d6 and add the result to the movement characteristic of the model. First, the Scout. Thanks to a skill of his specialty, I can reroll a dice to advance. Being so close to the Vanguard, I would have a chance to charge in the next round, but I think I'll try to ignore the melee with the little ones to get off the table in the early rounds of the game. The second Hormagaunt almost doubles his movement and gets quite close to the edge of the battlefield. One more advancement like that and already in the second round he could achieve his purpose. Having lost a Hormagaunt before the game even started doesn't help, but I still have enough models to score some points. Considering that Simone has most of his team in the lower part of the battlefield, I aim to advance with the rest of the Hormagaunts in the upper part in order to find as little resistance as possible. To avoid taking too many losses in the shooting phase, I try to give as much cover as possible to my Hormagaunts, and in the meantime, I will try to take out the most advanced vanguards with my warriors, even if it won't be easy due to the cover that gives me a -1 on hit rolls. The Hormagaunts moving near the container have only that vanguard that could obstruct them. Eliminated him, they could pass undisturbed. Also, I would eliminate his scout, which would be the model that could reach my edge of the field more easily than the others. Now the warriors. My combat specialists move behind the barriers toward the upper part of the battlefield, ready to eliminate the vanguard. The comm specialist moves within range of flash hooks, but staying within 6 inches from the leader to give him +1 on hit rolls, while the leader gets the ready.
Andrea advanced with all his Hormagaunts and in some cases even crossed my defensive line. I hope I can contain his advance in this shooting phase, otherwise it will be a problem to be able to block him in time before he gets out of the battlefield. The first to shoot are the 4 models with the ready. The model with the arc rifle, whose name is Die 4 and 4, takes aim and fires on the Hormagaunt in front of him. Being in full view and in short range, he fires 2 shots at 2+, thanks to the +1 of the comms next to him. I repeat the ones thanks to the Canticle. Both hit. Strength 6, Toughness 3, I need 2+. 1 wound. With penetration -1, I just do the injury roll. Flesh wound. Well, better than nothing.
In Kill Team, the shooting phase is alternated, so now it's my turn to respond with the ready. The leader fires the Venom Cannon on the plasma. These 3 attacks. 1. Hitting at 4+. Miss.
Andreas finished the models in ready, so now I can finish mine. The comms with the Galvanic Rifle targets the same Hormagaunt as before, who already has a wound. Being Rapid Fire 1 and short range, he makes 2 hits at 3+. Hit. Strength 4, Toughness 3, wounding at 3. 1.
Saving with 6. Missed.
Injury roll. On 3+, he is dead. 2. Okay, I use the command point to reroll. And 2 again. Second flesh wound. Unfortunately, the leader has no enemy in sight, so only the AF ROD-1T3 Ranger with the Galvanic Rifle remains, who targets the same Hormagaunt to try to eliminate him permanently. He sees it covered, so 2 hits at 4. 1. 3 to wound. And obviously 2. Finished the models with the ready, we return to alternate the shooting with the remaining models that have moved. The Plasma BL4CKY aims to the Hormagaunt in front of him. 2 shots at 4+. Okay, is that my feeling or am I rolling too many 2s?
I respawn with my comms shooting the Vanguard at the window with the flash hooks. Long range, obscured, 2 shots at 6. Missed both. Now the Death Spitter on the Vanguard defending the obstacle below. I see cover, but he's in short range, so 3 shots at 5. Missed all 3. And you're complaining about the 2s, huh?
My scout, surrounded, tries to eliminate at least 1 Hormagaunt, targeting the one next to the container with carbine. 3 shots at 3+. 2. Strength 3, Toughness 3, wound with 4+. Nothing.
Last Tyranny model that can shoot, my combat specialist on Vanguard Scout with the Death Spitter. 3 shots at 5+, 1 hit. Strength 5, Toughness 3, wounding at 3. 1. Reroll with command point. Wounded.
-1 penetration, so saving at 5. Nope.
Injury roll. He's dead.
Okay, my scout doesn't come very far. Farewell, OB3R1N.
Roadblock removed, guys. Run!
My Vanguard at the window, Joule 13T, with the carbine shoots the Hormagant near the container to try to stop its run. Short range, no cover, 3 shots at 3+. I reload the ones thanks to the Canicle. 2 hits. Strength 3, Toughness 3, Wounding at 4. And nothing. The Ranger named Muse 1 and 4 with Galvanic Rifle also aims at the Hormagant near the container. She is partially covered, so 2 shots at 4+. Both hit. Strength 4, Toughness 3, 3 to wound. Yes! With -1 penetration, I do the injury roll directly. I need a 4+. Ah, just a flesh wound. Car OL1 and 4, the Ranger near the barrels, aims with the Galvanic Rifle also at the Hormagant behind the container. 1 hit at 5+, missed.
There would now be the morale phase for units with flesh wounds. The only wounded models are mine, but since the Tyranny have an ability called Synapse that allows them to automatically pass nerve test if they are close to models with that feature, I don't have to roll anything. All in all, this run hasn't gone too badly. I have a couple of injured Hormagants, but no deaths. And in addition, I have eliminated the Mechanicus that stood in my way. Sure, 2 out of 3 warriors have totally missed their shots, but I'm not complaining.
I believe my Mechanicus shot the flies during the shooting phase. All those 2s and the flash wounds. I couldn't kill any of them, and that's a problem. In the next round, he could leave the battlefield with several miniatures. I have to find a way to stop him. In this turn I absolutely must be able to get the initiative, to move first and block the way to the Hormagants. The canticle chosen for the Mechanicus in this round is Chant of the Remorseless Fist, which allows me to reroll the ones in the combat phase. We roll for the initiative. Oh no.
Ooh, me first!
Damn. I absolutely cannot allow Andrea to move first, so I use the tactic Decisive Move for 1 command point, which allows me to move a model of my choice before any other model. I chose my comms and decide to charge the Hormagant next to the container to lock it in combat. I need a 7, rolling for charge. Nah, so close! I failed the charge, but I can still move it the distance I rolled and position it to block the passage.
Nah, that's a bummer. It means that I will have to take out another model to pass. Then, I move the leader behind the weapon crates to enter in range with the flash hooks. Now the combat specialist. He's not in charge range on anyone, so I move in behind the pipes, leaving him in cover to shoot with the Death Spitter, and hope to eliminate the Mechanicus model. Next on the list is the doubly injured Hormagant, who makes a normal movement of 8 inches to allow me to use a tactic on him at the end of the phase. The scout advances and reroll the dice thanks to his skill, but with the same result. I could have charged the Vanguard, but I would like to use that model to draw the Mechanicus fire on him and hope he will last as long as possible. I also advance with the Hormagant behind the yellow machine. With 5, he leaves the battlefield. 1. Reroll with the command point, but I roll 3. It stays on the edge of the battlefield. Time to charge with the remaining models. The Hormagant near the container is close enough to the Ranger to enter without rolling the dice. The second Hormagant needs a 5 to enter combat and succeeds with a 6. The third one is roughly the same distance as the second, but he stumbles and fails the charge. In any case, he gets closer by those 3 inches. The remaining Hormagant charges onto the Vanguard behind the window.
He reacts with Overwatch. 3 shots at 6 because of the charge. Yeah, whatever.
Now I roll to see if I get into close combat. Good. I have enough movement to get around the obstacle and make room for my comms specialist, who also charges into the Vanguard. At the end of the movement phase, I use the tactic Metabolic Overdrive for 2 command points, which allows me to make 1 additional normal movement with the model, but I have to roll a d6. On a 1, the model suffers a mortal wound. I choose to move the Hormagant with 2 wounds to get it out of the battlefield. I roll the d6, no problem. He leaves the battlefield and I take 2 victory points.
I was expecting a charge on Cult MP3, honestly. At this point, I take the opportunity to advance as quickly as possible towards the edge of the opponent's field. I roll to advance. 4! I have enough movement to get the cover behind the building, and since the carbine is an assault weapon, I can still fire in the shooting phase. Die 4 and 4 with the arc rifle backs up to get to see the Hormagant who's not in combat. The Ranger Muse 1 and 4 moves back and leaves room for AF ROD 1T3, while everyone else takes the ready. Andrea has already taken 2 victory points and has many more Ormagans ready to leave the battlefield. If I don't kill a few of them in this shooting phase, I can call this game over. Since the Tyranids have no models ready, I start with my 3. The first to shoot is the leader, Leo N1D45, with the arc pistol on the Ormagant next to him. One shot at 3+, hit! Strength 6, toughness 3, wounding at 2. Done! -1 AP, so I do the injury roll directly. 4+ to kill him. Yeah, I need him to die, so reroll with the command point. And it's gone! Nice shot in the back of the head. Let's move on to the plasma that fires on the other advanced Tyranid. 2 shots on the 3+. Yes! Strength 7, toughness 3, I need 2s. -3 AP, so I do the injury roll. 4. Another shot, another dead. Now the last Mechanicus with the ready. Having no other small targets, Car OL1 and 4 tries to hit the Tyranid's leader. 1 shot at 5. Yes! Strength 4, toughness 4, wounding at 4. Ah, never mind.
Now it's time for my leader to fire. Flash hooks on the advanced vanguard. 2 shots that would hit at 6, but thanks to the comms ability I hit at 5+. 1 pass. Strength 4, toughness 3, 3 to wound. And he's wounded.
No penetration, so saving at 4+. Here we go.
The leader fights again, this time with his primary weapon. Venom cannon on the ranger with the rifle raised. These 3 shots are 4+, again thanks to the comms. 1 shot. Failed. Imagine hitting a shot.
Okay, the arc rifle fires on the Ormagant behind the container, hoping to thin out the number of the Tyranids there. 2 hits on 4+. 1 hit, strength 6, toughness 3, wounding on 2. Just right. -1 penetration, so I go with the injury roll. And it's gone!
My combat specialist fires the Death Spitter at the ranger closest to him. 3 shots at 5+. No one hits.
Cult MP3 tries to fire on the Tyranid's leader with the carbine. Being an assault weapon, it can fire even if he has advanced, but with an additional -1. 3 hits at 5+, and all miss. Since Andrea has run out of models to shoot with, I finish with my rest. AF ROD-1T3 with galvanic rifle targets the warrior behind the pipes. 2 shots at 4+ for cover. 1 hit, strength 4, toughness 4, 4 to wound. Nope. Last to fire is Muse 1 and 4 with the galvanic rifle on the Tyranid leader. 2 shots at 4+. Both hit. Strength 4, toughness 4, need a 4. 1 through.
No penetration, so saving at 4+, and he's safe.
Wow, this shooting phase was crazy for me.
Yeah, I lost 3 more models, and as usual, I didn't hit anyone.
With 4 Tyranids eliminated, I go to 4 victory points while Andrea remains at 3. Now, the hardest part for me, the combat phase.
There are 2 fights to do, and since my models have charged, they attack first. Normally we should resolve all models that charge first, but for convenience we finish the fights separately. Let's start with the comms on the vanguard at the window. 4 attacks at 4+ for the defended obstacle. 2 hit. Strength 4, toughness 3, I wounded 3+. Just 1.
With -2 penetration, I need a 6 to save him. With a hit to the camera, here's the 6.
Of course. Now the Ormagant with 2 attacks, always on the same target. 1 hit. Strength 3, toughness 3, 4 to wound. Missed.
Joel 13T responds to the Ormagant with a 4+ attack. It's a 5! Vanguards reduce by 1 the toughness of enemies within 1 inch from them, so I wounded 3. Here we go.
No penetration, so saving at 6. Fail.
Injury roll, 4+ to take him out. Yes! He did it! You're my hero, Joel 13T. I'm sure sooner or later you will find your Raw M3O.
Sad.
I know.
Now the other fight. At least you, do something please. The Ormagant on the right first. 2 hits on 4+, 1 through. Strength 3, toughness 3, wounding at 4. Wounded.
No penetration, so saving at 4. Nah.
Injury roll. 3.
Yes!
Just a flesh wound. Now the second Hormagaunt. 2 more attacks, this time a 5+ for the wound. Reroll the 1, and they both pass. Strength 3, Toughness 3, wounding at 4, both miss.
Now it's up to my comms to answer back, attacking the wounded Hormagaunt. 1 hit at 5. I repeat the 1 in close combat thanks to the Canticle. Missed. The Tyranids don't take the test, so only I have to test the Ranger injured. Leadership 6, with a model out of action, I need a 5 to pass it. He's so brave!
Definitely not a good second round, considering I lost 4 models without killing a single Mechanicus. In any case, if I managed to get the remaining Hormagaunts and some warriors over the edge of the battlefield, I would have a clear advantage. Also, I would need to win the initiative to be able to leave the field with the wounded Hormagaunt and secure another 2 victory points.
First of all, I gained another victory point thanks to the Tyrant killed in combat by Jool 13T. Last round went much better for me. In a shooting phase I managed to eliminate all the Tyranids too close to the edge and to block the rest in close combat. I need to win the initiative in this turn to prevent the Tyranids from leaving the field by retreating. As a Canticle for this turn I chose Invocation of Machine Might, which adds 1 to the strength characteristic of my models. Let's move on to the roll for the initiative. There we go! That's what I'm talking about! First, I try to get Cult MP3 over the edge of the battlefield. I really need those points. So I use the tactic Dune Strider for 1 command point, which allows me to roll 2 dice to advance and choose the higher result. I got a 6, so Cult MP3 is off the table. Another 2 victory points for me. I have to block the retreat of the Tyranids, so the Arc Rifle charges both Hormagaunts behind the container. And fails. Huh, what a clumsy charge die for him for. The leader tries to do the same thing. And luckily he rolls a 9 and charges. Having been charged, the Tyranids cannot leave the combat. Jool 13T finds himself in a bad position, so he retreats from combat. The Ranger moves aside. Muse 1 and 4 advances towards the edge of the table. I only managed to get through 1, I would need more additional points. The last to move is Car OL 1 and 4, and he leaves his safe spot behind the barrels to get closer to his companions. Thus ends my movement phase.
At this point, I don't have much to move, so I move all my warriors while still keeping them in cover, hoping to do some deaths in the shooting phase. The Hormagaunts are still in close combat, but I hope to free them this turn.
Unfortunately, there isn't much I can do in the combat phase, so I try to do as much damage as possible in the shooting phase. I will try to focus fire on the Tyranids leader to attempt to take away the additional command point per turn that his role offers. The Plasma is the only model with the ready, so it shoots first, targeting the warrior leader in front of him. At short range it fires 2 shots and I decide to overcharge it, then 2 shots at 4+. 1 is entered, strength 8, toughness 4, I need a 2. Wounded! With -3 penetration, it deals 2 automatic wounds, leaving him with only 1 wound. The first to shoot without the ready is Car OL 1 and 4, who continues to shoot on the Tyranid leader. 2 hits a 4+. Both hit! Strength 4, toughness 4, wounding a 4. Of course, double 4 and double 1.
My warrior comes, responds with both weapons on the Plasma guy, starting with the flash hooks, 2 shots at 4+, both missing the target. Then the Death Spitter with 3 shots at 4+. What a surprise, they missed as well.
AF ROD 1T3 aims his galvanic rifle at the Tyranid leader, hoping to snipe him. 2 hits at 4+. 1 hit, strength 4, toughness 4, wounding on 4. Wounded!
0 penetration, so save at 4+. 1.
Fuck! With the 5 on the injury roll, he's dead! Boom!
Now it's my combat specialist turn, shooting the Mechanicus leader with flash hooks even if he's in combat thanks to the weapon feature that allows him to shoot at enemy models even if they are within 1 inch from him or one of its allies. Then at short range and in full view. 2 shots at 4+, both hit. Strength 4, toughness 3, I wounded 3, just 1.
0 AP, so I need a 4 to save. Ha, 6.
Of course you rolled 6. Now the Death Spitter with 3 shots at 4+ on the retreating vanguard. 2 hit, strength 5, toughness 3, 3 to wound. Only 1 passed.
-1 penetration, so saving at 5. Ouch.
If you don't reroll with a command point, give me the dice. Thank you.
I use the command point. Oh, much better, thank you. Having charged with the leader, I attack first. 2 attacks at 4+ on the wounded Ormagant. Both missed. Okay, the comms also attacks the same Ormagant, 1 hit at 5+ because he's wounded, and he misses as well.
Now it's my turn to answer, starting with the wounded Hormagaunt on the leader with 2 attacks at 5+. Reroll d1, and both miss. Now the other Hormagaunt on the Mechanicus comes, 2 attacks at 4+, 1 hit, strength 3, toughness 3, I wound with 4, 6.
0 AP, so I just need a 4+. Oh no.
Injury roll, and he dies.
A few seconds of silence for his death.
At the end of the combat phase, I consolidate with the Hormagaunt on the Mechanicus leader. Finally my second victim of the game, +1 victory point to me.
The game is going well, but it's not over yet. Round 4.
This could be the last turn. At the end of the 4th round, the player with the most points rolls a d6. With 3+, the game continues another turn. At the moment, Simone is winning 8-4, but I still have a few tricks to overcome his points. For that to happen, however, I need the game to continue.
Even though I'm ahead, I don't have to let my guard down. Andrea could still win. It's very important for me to win the initiative again this round to block the Tyranids in combat once again. The Mechanical I chose this turn is Shroudpsalm, which gives an additional -1 when an enemy model fires to an obscured Mechanicus. Now, let's roll for the initiative. I rolled a 6.
Me too, reroll.
Okay, let's try again. I rolled a 5.
Me too, again.
That's ridiculous! I rolled a 6 again.
4.
Finally! We don't have many models to move now, but the most important thing for me is to succeed with the arc rifle charge on the Ormagants in combat. Muse 1 and 4 advances to the edge of the battlefield, preparing to exit in the next turn in case there is one. I rolled a 4 and it takes him just 10 inches from his goal. Die 4 and 4 prepares to charge. 7, exactly the number I needed to charge both Ormagants. Ranger and Vanguard return to cover, while the other two take the ready.
Now it's my turn to move, charging with my warrior comms on the Vanguard that has moved.
The Vanguard reacts with Overwatch to the charge, firing 3 shots, hitting a 6+, 1 hit. Strength 3, toughness 4, wounding a 5. Yes! Doing 6 on the wound rolls, it does 3 damage.
0 penetration, so say with 4+, 5. Now I roll to see if the charge succeeds. With a 7, he reaches him easily. The second charge is from the combat specialist on the Mechanicus leader, who enters automatically. And now that all my models are in close combat, Simone can't shoot me.
Not entirely true. Unfortunately, many of my Mechanicus cannot fire as all of Andrea's Tyranids are in close combat. But my leader is armed with an arc pistol and he can shoot in combat. He targets the wounded Ormagant and makes 1 hit at 3+. 2. I need him to hit, so I reroll with a command point. 4. Hit! Strength 6, toughness 2, wounding at 2. Yes! With -1 penetration, I do the injury roll directly. And the Ormagant dies.
It's okay, I can still grab the win.
With the shooting phase behind, all that remains is the combat phase. There are 2 major clashes awaiting us. Oh god, I'm so nervous. Having charged, die 4 and 4 attacks first, targeting the remaining Ormagant with a 4+ attack. Hit, strength 3, toughness 2 thanks to the ability of the Vanguards, then wounds at 3. Damn!
Now it's up to my combat specialist with his 5 attacks at 3+ on the leader. All hit. Strength 4, toughness 3, wound at 3. 3 wounds.
With -2 AP, I need 3 6s. Meh, just 1.
I roll to see if he gets injured. 2. Reroll with the command point. And the leader dies.
Well, what can I say? Leo and 1d45 is dead.
Now the Ormagant on the arc rifle with 2 attacks at 4+. Obviously, both missed. Next on the list is my warrior comes on the Vanguard with 4 attacks at 3+. One shot missed. Strength 4, Toughness 3, I wounded 3. 2 wounds.
Penetration -2, saving again at 6. Nothing to do.
Injury roll. And we can say goodbye to the Vanguard.
Joel 133 died. Poor Raw M30. This round we have 0 models with a flesh wound, so we skip the morale phase. At the end of this turn, we end up with 9 points for the Mechanicus and 6 for the Tyranids, so I roll the dice. On a 3+, the game continues. Please make 2 or less. Oh, come on!
See you next round. Okay, now if I win the initiative, I can take Warrior Comms and Harmagant off the table and secure 4 victory points this way, thus taking the lead.
Okay guys, the situation is starting to be dangerous. My models are too far from the action and there is little I can do to stop Andrea. Right now, everything is in Die for Enforce hands. The Canigal I chose this turn is the Litany of the Electromancer, which allows me to roll a d6 for each enemy within 1 inch from any model of my kill team at the start of the combat phase. On a 6, that enemy suffers 1 mortal wound. We roll for the initiative. 9.
4.
Yes! Yes!
Since I couldn't win the initiative, I used the tactic Decisive Move for 1 command point, which allows me to move 1 model before the others.
This is a crucial point. Whoever moves first could define the outcome of the battle. So I use the same tactic to try to move before him. We roll dice and whoever rolls the highest number moves first. No! What's that?
Definitely not a 1.
No!
I advance with the warrior and... chop chop! Off the battlefield. 2 more victory points for me.
Okay, let's not despair. I need this ranger to get out of the battlefield, and to help him I use the tactic Dune Strider for 1 command point, which allows me to roll 2 dice to advance and choose the highest. I need a 5. Come on, Muse 1 and 4, don't stumble please. Yes! 5 and he's out! 2 more victory points for me. The remaining Mechanicus that are not in combat have no chance to fire on anyone. Then they advance and try to move as fast as possible towards the only Tyranid left on the battlefield. It's quite clear that the match will be decided by the outcome of that fight.
As my only move, I have the Harmagant retreat from combat, and with its 8 inches of movement, it comes straight out of the field, granting me another 2 victory points. Now there is the shooting phase. Simone's model have advanced, so for the most part they can't fire, and the only one who can, at the moment, is my warrior. Then I shoot the flash hooks on the ranger in close combat, hoping to kill him so I can fire with the Death Spitter on the other ranger in sight as well. 2 shots at 4+, reroll 1 with the command point, and enters. Strength 4, Toughness 3, wounding at 3, wounded!
No penetration, so saving at 4. I need him alive, so reroll with the command point. Yes, saved! At the beginning of the combat phase, the Canticle kicks in. On a 6, the warrior suffers 1 mortal wound. 6!
2 wounds left. Not a big deal.
Having the initiative, I hit first with 1 attack at 4+. Hit! Strength 3, Toughness 4, I wounded 5. Wounded!
0 penetration, so saving with 4. Saved. Now I respond with 5 attacks on 3+. 2 hit. Strength 4, Toughness 3, I hit at 3. Both.
Oh no. -2 penetration, so I need double 6 there. Oh my god, yes! Double 6! He's alive!
Damn. The only thing left for me to do is hope for round 6. Otherwise, with a score of 11 to 10, the Mechanicus would win.
That double 6 really saved me. If the ranger had died, at this point we would have an even score, but now I have only 1 point advantage, which may not be enough in case of turn 6. The fate of this game is linked to the next dice roll, the one that will decide whether there will be a 6th turn or not. At 4+, the game continues. I'm so nervous right now. Yes! Yes! Adeptus Mechanicus win!
Wow, This match was really close, although my shooting phase was almost totally useless. I would say that this time, the dice favored you. Of course, if you hadn't blocked the Hormagates in combat, the game would have ended much earlier and quite differently.
This match was incredible, we both had the chance to win until the last dice roll. Perhaps it was one of the hardest fought games I ever played. When in the first round I missed all the shots in the shooting phase, and in the second round your Hormagaunts found themselves one step away from the table, I really feared for the worst. Fortunately, my dice rolls have recovered. Good game.
Before finishing, we wanted to thank you so much for the support you are showing us. The channel has just started, and with just one battle report, we managed to pass the first 100 subscribers.
Guys, it's great, and for us it means a lot. And to thank you, we decided to offer a shout out to your miniatures by asking you to post them on Instagram with the hashtag TWShoutout. We have chosen a few to show in the video, and I must admit that they are truly beautiful. Follow them on Instagram, cause they really deserve it.
The Providia campaign, oh boy. The composition of these images is awesome. I love the work you've done with both the miniature and the creation of the scenes.
Sir speeds a lot with Captain Cade of the Sanguinius Blowdowns. The conversions made on the model are really interesting, especially the shield with the two demonic heads. I like it.
Legion of the Blend. This Psychomancer is dope. I really like it when someone tries to vary the color scheme from the classic metallic Necron color. And the skull, man, nice.
Called the mediocre mini painter. This is just his name, but I'm pretty sure he's a good painter. Well, this is quite an army. I must say that it really makes a good impression.
Herald of Iron, with an Iron Warriors Rhino. The blood and the weathering are really nice. It would be interesting to see it on the battlefield with the rest of the army.
Fabrications of the artisan posted various photos, but I chose Ravenguard's Cayman Shrike. I really like how he painted it, and I think it's a really dynamic model with that base.
Aragoth, this Zephyr model is stunning. The detail of the sky on the claw tails is really a touch of class, and the model seen as a whole really makes a beautiful effect. Love it.
Frost Phoenix Studios. I love Deepkin. I don't play Age of Sigmar for now, but if I had to choose an army, that would be it. Very nice bases and the choice of color. This guy also has a YouTube channel with the same name. If you like, go check it out.
Definitely Bal.mp4, another Necron. Any Necron is welcome on this channel. I really like the fact that he has chosen a dark color for his dynasty. It makes a very gloomy effect.
Paints by Colonist, a silver and red assault intercessor squad. Would definitely catch the eye on the battlefield. Really nice color scheme. Good job.
Marco Fioriti, this knight is breathtaking, and believe me, I would like to give it all the attention it deserves. But in this image, I cannot ignore what in Italy we call umarell. That is the classic old man who is looking at the construction site with his hands behind back. If this were a competition, he would have won. Brilliant.
Atelier du Panda. This conversion is wonderful. He used it as a proxy for a Death Guard Marshal. I'd be very curious to see the entire army. Well done!
And with this we conclude. In case you too want to participate in the shoutout of the next video, leave a comment including your Instagram name under this video and post your image on Instagram by tagging us and using the hashtag TWShoutout. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel.
That's it, guys!
See you next video!